Hello everyone and welcome to lesson number 6 of Football English with Wayne, and in today's lesson we're going to be looking at Exciting Games Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1 of Exciting Games, go check it out. As usual, we'll be looking at some vocabulary and helping you one step further to be speaking in a natural way about football. Now, today's lesson is not about Barcelona and Liverpool, but before we go on to today's lesson, I just want to look at some key vocabulary. You probably remember this game. It was only a year ago, and it was between Barcelona and Liverpool, and it was a very exciting game, I'm sure you'll agree, and Liverpool obviously go on to win the Champions League. The first game was 3-0 to Barcelona. Now, in trophy games, cup games, etc., when it gets to the final stages of the tournament, so for example, the semi-final usually, there's often two legs, and two legs just means two games. The first game is often played at home, and then the second game is played away. And so in the Champions League, the semi-final, the first leg was at Barcelona Stadium and the second leg was at Liverpool Stadium. And how this works is that the two games get combined together for a total score. So for example, the first game was 3-0 to Barcelona and the second leg was 4-0 to Liverpool. So on aggregate, it was 4-3 to Liverpool. So basically aggregate just means a total score. So today's game I want to show you might not be that well known, but it's got lots of drama. And this game is the Watford versus Leicester when they were not in the Premiership but in the Championship playoff semi-final 2013. The playoffs are a small tournament in the Championship. At the end of the season, the teams that placed 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th enter basically a 4-team tournament with 2 legs in the semi-final. And then the 2 teams that meet in the final get to play at Wembley Stadium, and the winner of that game goes to the Premier League. So there's a lot to play for. The last year it was Aston Villa who got promoted to the Premier League through the playoffs. So the situation in this game was that actually Watford were beating Leicester 2-1, but it was 2-2 on aggregate. So that means that Leicester won the first leg 1-0, and in the second leg we've got a draw, so it's 2-2. So it should be quite a tense game, but Leicester have a penalty. And it is in the 96th minute. 6 minutes deep into injury time. Now, I don't want to play the video through this channel. I want to respect copyright as much as possible. So in this situation, please go to YouTube, as you're already on it, and go to see, just type in Leicester Watford playoff, and you should get a very small clip like this. It should be around 2 minutes or so. So go watch that and then come back to this. Okay, now I'm assuming that you've already seen the video and you're ready for the vocabulary. If not, go see the video and come back. So here we have some missing words. We've got Leicester something a penalty. Leicester missed a penalty. And now it doesn't matter if the ball goes over the bar or if it goes wide or if the goalkeeper saves it. It doesn't matter. The most natural expression for this is to miss a penalty. The opposite, to score a penalty. Number 2, Watford something Leicester on the counter attack. Can you guess what this is? Hit. So to hit a team on the counter attack. That's what happens straight after the penalty. And third, Deeney, the goal scorer for Watford. Something with a half something. So Deeney scored with a half volley. So when the ball bounces just once and it's struck and kicked and hit, that's a half volley. When it doesn't bounce at all, it's just called a volley. Let's continue. So as you can imagine, the emotions here are just like a roller coaster. Watford fans are watching Leicester take a penalty in the 96th minute. They think that the playoffs are over. But then they hit Leicester on the counter-attack from the missed penalty and Deeney scores. You can see how happy the fans are, but happy is not a strong enough word. Euphoric. The fans were euphoric. It goes beyond happiness. And number 5, Leicester something the game. So they had a chance with the penalty. There's not a better chance to score a goal than a penalty. But they don't just miss the penalty, they lose the game and they lose their chance. And all season, all the 46 games that they've played could be seen as a wasted chance. So for this word, threw away. Leicester threw away the game. And also, 6, Leicester had their something broken in the something seconds. Can you guess what this is? Leicester had their hearts broken in the dying seconds. So these are the very last few seconds of a game. Is often called the dying seconds. And just as we saw with Manchester United versus Bayern Munich in the first exciting game lesson, Bayern Munich had their hearts broken, and so did Leicester. Very disappointed, as you can see from the players. So let's have a look at some pronunciation now. This might be a new word for you, euphoric, so let me just help you with this. The best way to pronounce it is to think that it's got 3 syllables, 3 sounds. That's euphoric. And the stress, the loudest part, is in the middle, the for part. So it should be pronounced as this: euphoric, euphoric, euphoric. The Leicester fans were euphoric. You try. Also, we've got Leicester threw away the game. As you might have seen from previous lessons, we're dealing with a kind of connected speech here. So let's just have a look in detail about this. We've got threw away, threw away, threw away. So there's an extra sound after the through and away that native speakers often put in there. In this case, it's a. So threw away. Can you hear that? Threw away, threw away. Leicester threw away the game. You try. And the last one, Deeney scored with a half volley. So sometimes the stop. And the last one, Deeney scored with a half volley. So for some languages, depends on what your native language is, that V sound can be quite difficult to pronounce. So let's just try it together. Volley. So if you put your lips together, it's kind of like a vibration sound with your lips. Volley. Deeney scored with a half volley. All right, well, that's almost the end of this lesson, but before we go, I would really appreciate it if you could post your answers below with this question. When was the last time you felt euphoric watching a game? Perhaps for me, it was when England beat Sweden in the quarterfinals of the World Cup in 2018, because I could not believe that England had reached the semi-finals of the World Cup. It had only happened once in my life before that, in 1990, and I got very excited about that game. So thank you very much, everybody, and stop. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for watching once again. In the next lesson, we'll continue the how to pronounce Premier League part with... Stop. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And in the next lesson, we'll continue the how to pronounce Premier League teams with part 2, starting with Manchester City, finishing with Wolves. That's all for this lesson. Thank you very much, everybody.